Greetings, everybody. It's awesome to be back. This is our 20th episode, maybe a little bit away from the 19th episode, but what do we say, right? Better late than never. This is a quite dear episode to me because I'm also going to disclose some news of my recent pregnancy. And that's going to be the topic of this episode. And I have here Lauriane. Hi, Lauriane.
Hello.
Awesome to have you. A little bit on the how we met each other. I actually came to your yoga class in November when I had just finished my first trimester, right? So I could come to class and I was not puking all over. I still had some good energy going on, and ever since I've tried to keep up with it. On and off. But one thing that really brought me closer to your work and to your knowledge and insight was the Partners Birthing Workshop. But before we go there, Lauriane, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, your life story in short, and whatever you feel like sharing for us?
Yeah, in short, okay. So I'm French. I've been an expat for most of my adult life, actually. So I moved when I was in my 20s. I moved to the UK to study, and I haven't returned to France since. So, feels like I'm a citizen of the world, like they would say, very cliche, but it's true. And so I ended up in Denmark eventually. I lived in different countries, but ended up here, married to Dane, and we have 3 kids together. And and then I used to be, studying politics a long time ago. I was going towards this sort of journalistic / politics career, or end up in corporate world somehow doing research, marketing and stuff. And then I don't know, I had my second kid and I thought, this is not what I want to do. And I said, oh, I like to teach yoga. So I did, okay, let's just change career. And I did my teacher training, and I've been teaching yoga for a decade now, and specializing in prenatal and postnatal yoga, which is absolutely what I love and prefer doing. I love it so much. It's so amazing to be a part of women's journey, during their pregnancy and afterwards as well. I love, winter bathing. So I swim every day in the sea, whatever the temperature and the weather. And I love, of course, yoga. I love to run. I'm a very much an outdoor person. And I love everything to do with feeling yourself in your body. So it's not just yoga, right? It's any sort of experience. It could be dance. It could be anything that you feel yourself belonging to your body, right? And you understand your body and you like your body. So I don't know if it's, details or too much details.
No, this is beautiful actually. And I recall in one of the sessions was over, we had a lady participant, and she was actually on her due date, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, why don't you go swim? Why don't you try that? Just like, oh, I've already tried it. It's not working. I need some more ideas. And then you immediately jumped into other recommendations that had to do about this feeling, as you explained it, how you need to recognize your own needs and your own desires also at that point. So completely makes sense. Our Partners Workshop, you, of course, we knew you, all the pregnant ladies knew you from our yoga class, but you made our partners also feel very comfortable. And I remember mine listening for the 4 hours, very intrigued, taking notes afterwards. And then we referred to you again here and there about what we learned in the Partners Workshop. Can you tell us a little bit how you came up with this idea, and why is it important to go to such a class with your +1? It can be your male partner, female partner, mom, sister, friend, it doesn't matter. But why is it important to have a +1 with you?
Yeah, so I think it's mostly because of my own experience, actually, with my first birth. We did do, so we were in London at the time of my first pregnancy. We were living in the UK, in London, and we did do what's called NCT there. It's sort of association for pregnant ladies, and they did these courses for birth preparation and also breastfeeding, and the partners are with us during those birth preparation workshops. So we did them. It was 2 weekends. And it was fine, but I don't think it went in depth enough with what is actually birth and how birth works. And then anyway, birth comes at some point. And so during my first birth, oh my gosh, it was fine, but I didn't feel I got the support I actually would have needed. But when I gave birth, at this special moment, I didn't really realize it because I had no benchmark. I had no real knowledge about it. And I didn't really want to, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, well, we'll see what happens. So it was normal to go to the hospital. It was normal to be surrounded by doctors or nurses. It was normal to not trust yourself, but trust whatever says what, you know,
the system.
You should do this, you should do that, you know, yeah, system. And I just didn't question anything. And I remember, so that was the first part. And the other part was my husband, he was, I think, deeply stressed by the event. Because also my first baby was born earlier, so we weren't expecting him to happen that fast. And oh my gosh, my water broke, and then you know, so I think he was a bit stressed. And you know, I say this story a lot, but he was, as I remember it, a lot using the toilets during the birth event. So you know, I didn't really breathe well. I didn't feel like I had the support I wanted to have. And the first midwife we had, she was not so supportive, as I remember it. And I think this really slowed down the birth process. And I wasn't my own advocate, and I didn't have an advocate for my birth. And so it went okay, I guess, to standards, but not, in my opinion, to what I know today and how birth could be, you know? So based on this, and then my second birth and my third birth were better, but still not quite what I would have wanted. And I don't think I was feeling at the center of the experience when I think I should have been at the center of the experience overall. And I thought, I don't want people to experience the same. I want them to be on the same line before birth comes, and then during birth, having whatever you need as a birthing woman, the support, you know, that you need, not that they think you need, or that they think they can give you, or, you know. So that's how it came. I think it's really like a healing process, honestly, for me. You know, it's saying, okay, looking back, I think I would have deserved something different. Didn't happen. I'm not saying I'm traumatized by it, but I got some anger and resentment that took some time to, and still is sometimes there. And I think I love my husband very much, and I think I've got a bit mad at him after the birth because of this, you know. And that's the last thing you want to be, is mad at your partner when you have a tiny baby to look after. And I don't want people to experience the same. That's all. And I think it's really like myself giving my experience as a learning experience for others, and for me a healing experience as well.
So you in a way were your own customer in the beginning when you sort of... I
think so. Of course I had also interests in helping, you know, the ladies and their partners, but but I think for me it was very selfish in a way. It's like, oh, hang on, I think I'm going to do this. I think a lot of people in their life, whatever experience, bad or good experience, but mostly bad experiences, instead of being low for a long time because of it, they will turn it the other way and say, okay, this happened. What can I make
out of it?
What good can I make out of it? Right? And that's the idea. So instead of being resentful for the rest of my life, are you giving birth? Well, good luck, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You're giving birth. Listen, I have this to share. Listen, and see what you can you know,
Totally agree. In all of your classes, both yoga and the partners workshop, you always do a check-in. You always ask us how we're feeling, if it's related to the pregnancy or not, something that we were bothered or very enthusiastic or very happy about in the week, if we have some pain points, if something changed. And you asked our partners as well during the workshop. And I remember what me and my partner said. He was like, how can I be helpful to her? Helpful to a point that I don't become annoying. So that they could also go the other way, that partners try so hard that they just overwhelm you with all the advice and all the support. They mean well, but you are on your nerves maybe. I don't know. I'll see how I'll feel in the future. And then for me, I remember saying that in such an experience, you don't know what you don't know. So you might need something, but you don't actually realize that you need that until somebody mentions it, right? So for example, I completely had forgotten, or not forgotten, I was not aware that I could go to the hospital and understand the route that I have to go through if I'm in labor, right? And it was mentioned in the workshop. And then all your tips and tricks about breathing and birthing positions, things that I was not even aware of or misinformed because of media and TV and all of that we are exposed to. So following all of these birthing experiences, where do you see the most changes in the decade that you've been working with mamas? And I remember that you were strongly advising us and our partners that we have to make it more of a mental experience than a physical experience, because our bodies know what to do. They're designed that way, and we just need to know the biology, if I can call it like that, behind it. But our mind is what we can try maybe to control better.
Yeah. Oh, that's so much to unpack here. So, obviously, the past 10 years is a very short amount of time. And because the past 10 years I've also been digging deeper and deeper and deeper into the realm of pregnancy and birth and physiological birth and so forth. It's like, you don't know if it was there before or if it's there now because people talk more about it, because there's social media, because I'm part of this bubble. So I'm like, so I can't tell you the past 10 years if actually pregnancy and birth have changed differently. I mean, it's me as a person, I think I've been really dragged towards the other sort of unmedicalized, outside of institution birth world, which I don't think is actually the norm still. I think the norm is people see birth as a medical event, as a scary event, as a dangerous event. I still had, a friend of mine who gave birth 11 years ago in England, and we were together at Christmas. She came to stay with us, and I was talking to her about my job, about what I do with these workshops, doing prenatal classes, and she was telling me, birth is so dangerous. You can't tell women they can birth without being scared because it's scary. I nearly died. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I know you had an emergency C-section. I know that was really traumatic. And of course it happens. I'm not saying all births are rosy and all births going well. I'm not saying this at all. I'm just saying that when you look at the statistics of uncomplicated birth and pregnancies, it's about 85%. So it's still the majority of women who can bear a child and give birth to a child without any complication. I think the complications come from an over usage of interventions that are not needed, right? So they kill this process of natural birth. So your body creating the hormones you need to birth your baby because of XYZ reason. It's so much to unpack here. But what I can say, in trying to stay focused here, is I think that since perhaps the past 70 years or something like this, birth has been really much a medical event. They used to put the moms to sleep in the US, for example, during contractions, so that they wouldn't suffer from the birth process. So they were putting the mothers to sleep, getting their baby out, and then putting the baby, you know, away from the mom. Not just, you know, all these things we know now are so important. And even in the 80s, when I was born in the 80s, my mom says her birth went well, but I was sleeping away from her at the hospital for like a week because the mom needed to sleep. Which, you know, she never could breastfeed me because I think this hindered the lactation process because of the oxytocin missing and the skin to skin and the closeness. And as a baby, I don't know, you know, perhaps it's somehow must have had some impact on my resilience and a lot of things, right? Because it's very traumatic as a baby to be separated from your mother. Anyways, so thankfully now they don't do it so much anymore. You know, you stay with them, and they understood the importance of hormones. They understood the importance of getting the baby close to the mother straight after birth is possible. But in terms of birth, it's still completely the norm to birth in a hospital, not even questioning the other options available, because people are scared because of what you said earlier. What image is given of birth in media, right? So and very likely, like one of my good yoga friends, she's like this yoga goddess, and we were talking about my workshop one time, and I was talking to her about the different birth positions you could do, labor positions you could do. And she was like, "Oh, you don't birth on your back?" I was like, "Well, not really. I mean, you can, but it's not the best optimal position to give birth."
Of course.
So it's all these sort of myths around birth that drive me crazy. And I want to give you one more example about something that is really happening right now in France. They want to close down birthing homes that have less than 1,000 births per year because they don't have enough money to get more, you know, staff to have more birth, because they are considered dangerous. Because let's say you have to have an emergency C-section or something, it's perhaps truly less easy to find someone to do it. But the problem is this recommendation were made by obstetrician and gynecologists who are doctors themselves. And one of these guys were talking the other day about it. And again, having all this talk about how dangerous birth can be, and has no idea whatsoever what he's talking about, because he never once mentioned what is a physiological birth and how birth works. So it's very ignorant, in my opinion. And then these kind of messages, it's wrong because that's what is being spread over. And then women are scared because they say, "Oh, I don't want to birth at home, and I'm going to drive perhaps 50, 60 kilometers to give birth to my baby." And I know they said, "Oh, we're going to open some hotels for you, and you can spend 4 to 6 nights in a hotel before you give birth around your due date." And I'm like, never know when you're going to give birth. What if you have kids at home and you don't want to be away from your kids, or you don't want to be in a hotel because it's going to kill the safety that you need to have to give birth? So that's all these things are still so misunderstood, and that drives me really nuts.
You know, as an expat myself in Denmark, you want to try to find all the right resources to get yourself informed, right? And besides all the workshops that they do for you at the hospital and the classes you can go, there's also this show in one of the televisions here, and even from the title it says, "Help, we are giving birth."
Right.
And then when I told my partner about it, he was like, "Why help? Is it scary?" You know. And now it's also a little bit of not fear, but okay, what's this episode going to be about? Because of the title, you know, help, it means it's going to be something odd, dangerous, scary, and all of that. And when I see it, and it's recorded, I think 10 years ago, so more or less in the same timeline as you started practicing the prenatal, postnatal yoga. And now that I ask the midwives a lot of questions about it, they also mention that even within the same country, hospitals might have different practices. So you really need to get yourself as informed as you can possibly. And when it comes to this mental preparation, as you described it before, like you didn't know how to breathe, you didn't know that you would have liked the lights dimmer maybe, or the nurses and the doctors not screaming, definitely having the baby to build that connection right away with you and feel your body. I mean, the baby is all that he or she has known as mom's womb, right? And they even say the baby recognizes your hand on the belly versus somebody else's hand. I mean, all of that. So I sort of agree. And I also read this book that in the pregnancy, you might have started the preparation for it even before conceiving. So you contemplate, scenarios, you prepare yourself at work, you arrange life events and other elements to suit you in this, and these are a bit practical, definitely, but not all of this is physical. They have to do with your mindset and how you feel about it. And as I touched a little bit here on the arranging work, how do you see careers and jobs influencing on the pregnancy and postnatal time, right? You have worked in the corporate yourself for a while, and then you decided to drop it and pursue this other journey. So how do you see women's role or team's role, company's role, what we plan for our careers as a change when a baby is about to come?
Well, yeah, I think it's also very personal to every woman what they want to do. So I can say that overall, I think there's no enough time given to the woman to be comfortably pregnant and then into postpartum, going back to work after only a few months, I think is insane. I think so personally. I think some people might be okay with that, but no, not for me. But what I can see is when you're pregnant and you have a normal job, let's say an office job in a corporate, there's a lot of factors that can make the pregnancy not as comfortable, not as endurable. I think, for example, there's a big taboo, for example, when you are pregnant the first few months and you don't want to tell your employer or your colleagues because it's kind of taboo. What if you miscarry? I don't want to talk about it, da da da. And that's when you feel like shit most of the time. Yeah. You're tired, you're sad, you're crying or whatever. You have your mood swings, you have your nausea. And you have to show up to your job with nobody knowing you're pregnant because you don't want to tell them, because society tells you can't tell someone you're pregnant until week 12 when your pregnancy is more viable. So I think that's tough already. And then there's a lot of, I guess, extra stress on the woman being pregnant because they think, although they can't be sacked because they're pregnant, what is going to happen to my job when I go? I'm going to be replaced by someone else. And then will I find my position again when I come back from maternity leave? If I leave too long, if I take the time I need to take. So I think it's a really difficult balance, but it's like true for most mothers, I think, the work-life balance, the minute you decide to have a family, very likely, I know Denmark is a good country, it's very balanced, but still, like realistically, most of the world, the most of the workload, of course you're pregnant because you're the woman, and you give birth because you're the woman, and you're gonna potentially breastfeed your baby because you're the woman, and your body has to have some time to heal after birth as well. So just circling back just very quickly to the pregnancy, also back pain, heartburn, pregnancy fog, all these side effects, if you can call them like this, of pregnancy, because they're real. Your body changes, your brain changes, everything changes. You have to readapt, and having to show up to work the same way, doing your meetings the same way, perhaps traveling to different places the same way. It's really difficult. And then when do I need to go onto maternity leave? Shall I leave just before my baby's born, or I don't even know when my baby's going to be born exactly? How many days or weeks do I have after birth? Your body has at least 6 to 8 weeks to recover from birth, and that's a minimum. It's just for the placenta detaching from the uterus, all this blood vessel that needs to heal, it takes at least 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's why you want to take it easy. And then you want to keep this oxytocin level with your child, so you don't feel, you have your hormones plummeting to 0 after birth. So you feel baby blues most likely. And there's a lot of postpartum conditions as well, and lack of support. And society is closing an eye on it as well, because we don't have these villages anymore who can take care of each other. It's very nuclear. It's really like you're on your own, and especially as an expat, you don't have your parents, you don't have your brothers and sisters or friends or whatever who can come and support you after the baby is born. And on top of that, you have to think about, I still want my career, or do I? I don't know. What does it make me if I want to actually stay at home for 2, 3, 4, 5 years because I'm more happy this way? It's a lot as women, because you're expected to be this superwoman in so many ways. You have to have this great job, you have to have this great family, and on top of course, you have to have this great body, because you have to come back to shape straight away.
Yeah.
And again, I think people start to think more about it, perhaps, but I still think it's so backwards in many, many ways.
Yeah.
Especially when I lived in the US for 2 years and I couldn't believe it.
That's another story.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Denmark is a good place for it, but still, it's so much pressure as a mom and career woman. If you're a career woman, to juggle it all, it's super tough.
Yeah.
Super tough.
I must say that for me, personal experience, super lucky for my colleagues and my manager and the team. I haven't felt a single moment of pressure or anxiety and so on. Everything has been very much up to how I decide or how it feels better for me. And that was very good, because I had one of those pregnancies so far that, what was it? Maybe 1 or 2 symptoms that I didn't have. The irritation of the teeth, and what was the other one? That my nausea stopped after the first 3 months. Everything else that you can imagine, I got it. Even right now, after about half an hour episode recording, the baby doesn't like how I'm sitting. So it's I got all of those, and the team was brilliant. But I also noticed that there were a lot of context-related events that I brought to myself, change of city, change of apartments, some new projects I had said yes to that I needed to organize, a lot of other life changes that of course do their own bidding. But one thing that I tried, I actually had a meeting with a career advisor from one of the unions that are in Denmark, as early as I was in my 5th or 6th month, just to see how I feel about, not having to work for a while and then coming back to work after the leave. And recently I also started again my coaching sessions, and we speak about work quite a bit, because I started feeling guilty that I'm not doing as much as I'm used to, my usual 140% and all the energy and all the new projects and whatever initiatives that we would have in our team. It started taking a toll on me. So all of this needs some support, and the support can be very close, family, friends, as you said, the village, but it's nothing wrong to extend this support and be very straightforward with your colleagues, with your with other professionals that can assist you in such a journey. So, and for me, coming to your class was also part of the sort of this support system, talking to other ladies and then hearing their experiences at the same time. So of course there's a lot to share here, right?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to stop, but maybe we can round off with if you can, I know it's difficult, but if you can pick 3 to 5 top tips that you would have for a soon-to-be mom that she should try to adopt in her lifestyle or in her preparation. What would these tips be? What is something that we should really not forget?
So I'm thinking about 2 really concrete tips. One is going to prenatal yoga for sure. I mean, even if you never did yoga ever, it will help. It will align the pelvis. It will help you breathe, get into your body, get your stress out a little bit. So it's going to be great. And then, as you said, you're going to be as a part of a community of other women. So it's great. And then the other one, but it's really also concrete, is educate yourself. Learn about what birth is, instead of believing horror stories or whether your neighbor is told you, about their birth, because it might be a great birth and you have a different birth as well. So just be open to, the unexpected, but also know your rights in this country where you birth and what you can expect from birth. Yeah. And I would say, and that's something I say a lot in my classes, really trust your body. Your body is going to guide you for your whole life. Yeah. So during your pregnancy, whatever feels good, do it. Don't be scared. Don't say, oh, you can't go for a run because you're pregnant, or you can't, I don't know, go to dance classes because you're pregnant, or whatever else, because very likely if it feels good, it's probably very good for you. Okay. So that's really important to know that you are the one in your body, and you should trust that wisdom, yeah, and learn to develop this discussion with your body.
Yeah.
Instead of just being in your mind all the time, in your head all the time, just, okay, what do you want, body? And it's going to be so great, because that's going to also help you for the birth, to trust this intuitive connection, and also the boundaries. We talked about boundaries, like what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and this is really important as well throughout life anyways. Yeah. And yes, to be as healthy as you can in ways that bring you joy. I think there's not so many other tips I can think about, but I think pregnancy is this really special time where actually a woman becomes a little bit more centered to herself, introspective, more yin, more feminine, more like creative as well, and embrace all this. So be present to your pregnancy, be present to your postpartum, have your baby on your chest, feel your baby breathe, enjoy those moments, even if they are a bit, sometimes challenging, of course. But that's my tips. It's like be present and just embrace whatever comes your way, because I think all pregnant ladies are amazing. You're growing a human, or 2 or 3, depending. And you're doing wonders. You're goddesses. That's what I think anyways. And I'm always in awe of what nature does. And I know it's happening to nearly half of the population to be pregnant and give birth, but still, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a special, special thing. Yeah. And I miss it so much.
Yeah. Well, very fair point, Lauriane. If you are overworked, especially if you work too much, coming to the prenatal yoga class with you or other teachers, depending on what you prefer, actually helps you do that bit of listening to your body, because you say do whatever you trust your body and let your body do the work. But if you haven't had the time to understand your body and say, I can see that my ankles are funny, or I feel the pain on the back, or I can locate this and that here and there in the body. If you don't listen to it, you also will struggle to communicate to the other people what do you want. So coming to the prenatal yoga, that was definitely a way to understand your body more. And even though I said I got all the symptoms, like the pelvic pain for me started as soon as the 4th month. And one would say, oh, why would you go to yoga? It's actually going to hurt you more. And I disagree. I come there because it's going to hurt no matter what. I can't escape it. So I might as well learn to understand that pain, live with it, see if I can navigate it, and see if I can sort of contain that pain where it is, so it doesn't let me, it doesn't let it spread all over the body. Like you say, relax your jaw, it's connected, and all of those tips and tricks. So
it's very important, the jaw vagina connection. You have to really like train it. And I just want to say very quickly about the stress. If you know a bit about epigenetics, the baby can feel so much the mom's state of mind. So the more happy and relaxed you are throughout your pregnancy, the better for your baby. So I would say, if you find, it doesn't have to be yoga, it can be, anything that brings you joy again, that gets you out of your mind and more into yourself, and drop in and enjoy life, whatever it is. Do it, and be happy. And yeah, I think that's so important to.
That's great. Lauriane, thank you a lot. We just actually, March has a lot of things to celebrate. International Women's Day.
Yeah.
In Albania, it's the Teachers Professors Day, my brother's birthday, spring coming. There's a lot of events, but yeah, I'm very glad we had this talk, and very open talk, by the way. And I think more women and men needs to listen to this, and hopefully it sheds some light on what they should do next. And of course, besides finding you on your Instagram and all the pages, which will be under the resources of this video on YouTube, we know that your next partners workshop is in April. We will put the references below. And I liked it, by the way, that after the workshop, you also gave us a couple of pages of a summary of what we discussed, and resources, references, what we could use more. And I loved your trick with repetition. So you would bring the same passage in different parts of the text. They say repetition teaches the donkey. So even if you are a bit resistant to remember certain breathing techniques or activities, then definitely you'll remember after reading your material. We encourage everybody to drop the comments how they feel about this, and if they have other questions or topics, or maybe anybody can contact me or Lauriane directly. Thank you again. See you in the class.
Thank you so much,
And we speak soon with everybody else. See you in the coming episodes. Take care. Enjoy spring in the sun.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.